the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basketball, and my dad trained me to assassinate pasta at an early age.
And I'm John Gilardi, and I don't draw the line at being a leader of a terrorist organization. You know, to me, that's not
ready.
That's not a deal breaker. You know, Dad, don't worry, I still got your back.
Hey, John is ready. John is ready. He's ready to be a king. He's ready to be a king. He's ready to be the leader of a crime syndicate. He's like, hey, give me the leadership. I'm ready. Let's go.
I guess so. Yeah. So
today we're going to be talking about the latest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A fucking great film about martial arts, madness, mothers, fathers, destiny, and dragons and
folklore,
other such things.
Yeah.
Folklore.
Fight Club.
Secret places. So many secret places in the world there are. And you know what? It's a good, fun Marvel movie in theaters and not too late.
No.
It kicks off a good thing. We're talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah. Really solid movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can rattle off things quick that I liked about it, but let's
first synopsize it.
Synopsize
it for us.
So we have the Ten Rings are this mysterious weapon this warlord found, and it's given him immortality. He's conquered and he's pursued power and all these things for 1,000 years. Then he meets this woman and he falls in love and he swears away the rings and his immortality, and he wants to grow old with her and raise the family he has. And the moment he lets his guard down, a rival gang comes and ruins his new life, and he goes back into his old life of gang banging and assassination, and he brings his kids into it and neglects the other one, I guess. And
I don't know if I would.
What?
Gang banging.
I know. It's just
he goes.
He's a mobster. It's organized crime, big time organized crime. So he brings one kid into it and he neglects the other, and it sets this path for each of them. But they're both well trained mega warriors, basically. And fast forward to present day, and shit starts popping off because Pops is trying to reunite the family so that he can go find his wife because he thinks she's alive. I think that's kind of the synopsis.
Well, yeah, that's a good synopsis, and obviously, don't fucking listen to this. You know, go see it in movies. Go see it in theaters. Don't listen to this. You know, if you're a Marvel-y person, not that I don't think that there's that many big spoilers in this movie. It's like, not that there's like big twists, but I don't think that there's like big
There's no revelations.
Spoilers.
I guess.
I mean, I think I would say like the biggest twist is that the dad isn't as bad of a guy, you know?
Yeah.
Again, he's a warlord and he's killed thousands and thousands of people, and there's a lot of questionable decisions that he's made. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know, I was really pleased with the villain dynamic that they created, and the scene at dinner where he asks Awkwafina what her Chinese name is, and is like, names are important. Names are what connects us to the past. That whole little speech, and then he gives he lets his kids in finally, and I don't know. I thought it was a really good dynamic, and I really liked it, and I liked that while he was a brutal and bad man, or whatever, he wasn't
a brute.
I wouldn't. He
Maybe?
wasn't a brute, and I wouldn't say that he was evil. He was just misled, and his tactics were less than ideal, you might say.
Yeah, I mean he was lost in the sauce. He was lost in love. That's fine. It's not a huge.
Yeah, it's fine. Well,
it's not fine. It happens. It's fine, but it's not. It doesn't mean he's an irredeemable evil man. But I think that's I guess you call that the biggest twist. Which
I don't know if that's the biggest twist, which of course now we've talked about right away. But that's just like a character thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a huge twist, and that's not to say it's a movie lacking creative storytelling or whatever. It is cookie cutter in a sense, but I think the movie hits on.
It's a better cookie.
Yeah.
It's a better cookie than Captain Marvel's cookie cutter.
Oh yeah, this movie is really good, and it finally gets like fighting and choreography right, and obviously it's because it pulls from the wuxia and kung fu and Hong Kong cinema and brings those people in to make this movie. Bring them in to make more movies, because whoever you are doing your fighting and other stuff, please, it's bad. I was watching we got a Loki song coming up, and I was kind of going through the whole season, cutting up footage, and the fight choreography is so bad. Like when you have the ability to like scrub through yourself, and then you can't unsee it, and it's just atrocious. It's like the only thing worse than it is the Game of Thrones choreography. But they got that right, and the cult, like just the stylistic stuff of the wuxia with the flying around. You even has some airbending, which I'm sure didn't come from Avatar first, like somewhere derivative of Hong Kong or Chinese cinema. Like it just felt so made by the right people and made with love. And
well, even the wire work was so like the use of that was incorporated so well, that where like it was like blended in with like sort of like the superpowery nature, like the couple of times where like, I don't know, that was like, I was like, oh fuck yeah, that's cool as shit.
Yeah, I think they could have seen more of that stuff, but I think
I think that they didn't want to overplay their hand, because I think they wanted to blend, and it was really nice to see the evolution of Shang-Chi's fighting style.
Yeah, because he learns a new style, essentially.
Well, he like taps into it, I don't know. And I really love that sort of like fluid, dancey style that they had the mom and Shang-Chi do.
That's like all Avatar. So that stuff's an Avatar, and it's really good. I don't know. We still need to watch
and they even
that.
had some of like they had some like drunken master stuff when they did the scaffolding fights, classic sort of like pulling on like Jackie Chan type stuff where he did scaffolding fights.
Yeah.
Well,
when he
construction site fights,
his like reveal fight too is so fucking cool on the bus, and it's just like okay, he's equipped, he's ready to go, because you don't know much about him yet. You see that he's a chauffeur, and you assume that he's the descendant of these characters from the prologue, but just to that cold like, all right, and then let's bring it, and then he just it's just so cool. The music was awesome.
Yeah.
Even the comic relief of the streamer guy was really well in there for me. That tickled my buttons, made me laugh, and I felt like it was just awesome. And I there's something awesome with movies or stuff when someone sees something or there's a reveal. Like when Spider-Man's identity gets, when Ned or whatever his friend finds out he's Spider-Man, or just that kind of stuff. Like that stuff's awesome, and like I barely know the character, but it's still cool to see Awkwafina or Katie, be like, whoa, what, like what, because that's like maybe like part of it is everyone wants to like think that they could be that guy and impress their friends, like they have something secret, that they could just whip out and be a badass, and then maybe there's some vicarious viewing there, but.
Well, I definitely loved too that Katie was a useful. It felt like she was a appropriately useful, like hero accompany, or like sort of a sidekick. Like initially whenever she's like, well, explain on the plane. You can explain on the plane. I was like, okay, that's kind of weak. But also, that's one of the things that it was interesting watching this movie. I could feel like the first act really felt like it was like almost holding itself back, where it's like, we got to get to this payoff. We have this payoff that's really cool, and we're getting to it. We got to show that, like, I don't know, it's just funny sometimes in these, like, the first acts of these, like, Marvel movies, especially like the origins, where or not necessarily especially the origins, but like actually more like the sequels and stuff, where it's like the first act, they just kind of like, all right, yeah, here's the stuff, here's a check-in, here's how it's going, here's a little thing, and here's our main conflict. Here we go. We're in the movie. Like, and that's how this movie kind of felt, where it was like, all right, yeah, look, he's living his regular everyday life. He's got this, blah, 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 doop, doop, doop. And yeah, here's our conflict, here's our movie. There you go. Thank you. We got through that first act. Thank God.
Yeah, and I think it does in an interesting way where it doesn't stop, though, that introductory thing, because the movie starts not with the beginning. It does with, like, the prologue. But say you have Spider-Man. Let's just think a classic superhero origin movie. He's a nerd, goes on a field trip, he gets bit, Uncle Ben. Like, we see it all. But in this movie, you're kind of halfway through it in terms of his journey as the hero, or his ability, in terms of his abilities. And then it's all told through flashbacks. So you still get that. And there's a cut of this film that is that is chronological. And I think that format was fine. Especially, I think it was a great reveal of just him being ready to go to start off. And I really like that. But, I think there might have been just a few too many flashbacks, or maybe one, or some that could have been blended together, because it definitely, it wasn't bad, it was very functional, but I think it held the movie back, the amount of flashbacks.
I mean, the amount of flashbacks, sure, but as far as like the structure of flashbacks, like, I'll take it. I actually kind of liked the little morsels as we get more and as his story evolved, especially with, like, and I don't know, I could probably go a different way, and if I think about it and I see it again, maybe I don't like it because it's like on the verge, but right now I do like it. The scene where he's talking to Aquafina at the pond, and he's like, actually, I did kill that dude, and I was like,
but that wasn't a flashback, like,
no, but they did a little flashback before that to undercut it, because I think that was one of the things that really stuck with me and it made it very interesting, is whenever his dad comes back and his mom is there, and he's like, young Shang-Chi is there, and he's like, oh no, and then they go and they find the dudes, and he looks to his son and is like, are we doing this? And his son is like, yeah, we're doing this. And he goes and fucks people up, and then it's just interesting. I think that is good, and seeing that story develop as we continue to see our hero process those things, as he's letting both Katie have more and more information about his past, as well as he's confronting more and more things that he's tried to refuse the call of adventure, as you will.
Yeah, or maybe maybe he deems himself unworthy for having done that. Maybe that's withholding him. I think I really like that. I really like the character Shang-Chi, or Sean, or whatever you want to call him. Like, is he gonna go by Sean now that he's like, or like what is, I guess what his friend calls him, I guess will be what we call him. Katie does, but I like the characterization a lot. I think I want to see him breathe more. It was an origin story. There's a lot to get through, but it would have been nice to see the actor, stretch his legs, and I think maybe we'll get that in a second movie, and the movie's doing numbers, so I think it'll be fine, and I'm sure it'll carry in the Chinese market too. So
I think he's got good comedic timing.
Yeah,
I was interested. It did seem like he had his hands in his pocket. He put his hands in his jacket's pockets a lot.
Yeah.
Which I was like, huh, that's an interesting choice. But I don't.
We felt like a very real. You felt like a tangible person.
Yeah.
Like Peter Parker feels any of the portrayals, but definitely Tom Holland's is great. But it feels like such a caricature. It doesn't feel like a real person. Iron Man's bigger than life. Thor's a god. Hulk's a mad scientist. They're not. None of them are really relatable. Even the normal one, Spider-Man. But he felt like a guy. Even with his history. Of his training and the fact that he killed someone as a teenager. You saw his mom get murdered in front of him, but he felt like
he feels like almost reverse Batman, where he's like he saw all this horrific stuff and he's trained to be an assassin at a young age, and he's like, actually no. He's like almost like reverse Batman in that, where it's like he also probably is extremely wealthy because his dad's an immortal god, essentially, who's been amassing wealth for years and years, and it's probably just got hella interest on it.
Yeah.
And so he's got to have like a little war chest that he's sitting on, and he's still like, I'm going to live in this apartment. I'm going to do my push-ups. I'm going to get drunk, do karaoke, and, I'm going to park cars and just kind of be a normal person because this is what I would like to be.
Yeah. And it felt very genuine. Like I didn't feel like he was being disingenuous. But it's a really likable character, and he has the talent as a martial artist and performer to back it up. As the actor performing that character, I've actively very much liked this movie more just talking about it in the last 17 minutes. And we still have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah. Well, what are your favorite moments? What are your favorite stuff? What's some of your favorite jazz with it?
Just because I start with it doesn't mean it's my favorite, but the Trevor Slattery coming back. Something about that kind of English accent and just like that doltiness hits my funny bone just right. I know a lot of people weren't about it, thought it was too much.
Really?
But I love that. It's a fish out of water kind of element too, where he's just like a weird person in that scenario. Like it's just such a weird dynamic. And I also like when they pull in the lesser popular movies like Iron Man 3, or Thor 2 and Endgame. And so I don't know. I just love the accent. Hello.
Yeah,
Trevor
I love the choice. I love the choice to bring him in, and to not give it away, and then I feel like it was so funny to me that they gave him so much time, and I feel like that made it funnier. Like if he was just there to give them oh man, what was the name of his little chicken pig?
Morris? I think it's
so
Morris.
close.
I don't even know what to Google to find that answer.
Marius.
Okay.
Marius. But I thought that he was just going to deliver that to them and then be on his way. But the fact that they kept him through it and had him for little splashes in there.
Yeah.
Was very satisfying to me.
Yeah, I think he was in there a good amount, and I think he was a good payoff for like who the real Mandarin is, because it like the pretty lame character, in a sense, obviously because he was fake, but I don't know. I liked it. I liked the playing dead part, and I saw it and it wasn't the first thing that came to mind. I thought he was hurt or whatever, but then I was like, oh, halfway through the show, I was like, and then he said, oh, I'm just playing dead, mate, and it was just, it's it's just good, simple little comedic relief. It's fine. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And so I
I thought
liked
it was
it.
good.
Yeah.
I
Things
thought
I
it was
liked.
good. I liked it.
I liked the monster design was really cool.
Okay.
The dragon was neat. The big lion things were neat.
I love those big lion things.
The horse, and he was like, "Why is it staring at me?" When whatever Trevor Slattery said. The fact that it's
looking at me like that.
yeah, and that his fate was being a court gesture was so good. But the final fight was so cool visually. Like there were so many moments that just looked like awesome paintings. They're awesome, like just images. It was really cool. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It really helped sell the magnitude of it. And, there's always, in every movie, the world's going to end. But I think the imagery was really good at that.
I think that they did a really good job of keeping the stakes high, but, like, staying within... It was interesting because it was like, yeah, this is the Soul Eater, blah, blah, blah. But never once, like, this is our one chance. Like, it felt like high stakes, low stakes, where it was like, yeah, this isn't an Avengers level threat or whatever, however you want to, like, sort of phrase it. This isn't
we got
a
to nip
threat
it in
to
the bud.
fabric of time. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it might be bad. It might be bad, and the thing is we might lose this plane of existence, or it'll be really damaging. But I think we've got the capability to do it. Like, they didn't set up any of the stuff where it was like, hey, this happens every week. It's not a big deal. But it also wasn't like, oh, God, if we don't succeed now. I mean, even as I feel like they said that, they're like, we better fucking get this thing. But it's kind of in the way where it's like, hey, we better fucking get this. We better get this shot because, we really kind of only got one chance at this shot. If we don't get this shot, we're gonna have to make some decisions in editing or change the way we structure our story, or like, talking about like making a short or making a movie where it's like, this isn't like, I don't know. It felt like that where it was like, it's high stakes, low stakes where I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know that I'm just rambling.
It fit an origin movie. I think it was good. In terms of the stakes, so nothing to complain there. I was more just saying that the imagery really sold it. Really gave it that gravity.
I mean, him coming down, like, man, they had some beautiful visuals in this.
Yeah,
they really had some beautiful visuals.
I really like the rings as a thing. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was maybe going to be dumb, just a unbased bias. But then seeing it in action and just like using them as jet propulsors or like a jet punch, shit like that. Air bending with them. Like it was just all so cool. I loved it. And we saw a ton of Tony Leung's character using them, but the fact that we barely saw the main character use them just makes me excited to see him use them more and master those as his iconic tool,
And I love the fucking, I guess this is one of my favorite things, is I love the sort of the trope of I take your weapon and look, I can do something better. I'm going to do this amazing thing, and then I discard it. Fuck you. I don't need to fight you to beat. I don't, like, where he takes his father's rings and he's like, oh, I'm going to Kamehameha you. And then he's like, no, I'm not.
So you like that?
You know what I'm talking about? I like that. I think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel strongly. I mean, as a trope, but I like that moment. I like that. That them fighting each other was a very emotional roller coaster. His dad is singular in his purpose, and is, maybe tried to land some killing blows, and maybe thought he had land some killing blows.
Yeah.
But despite that, his son still let love persist and patience and forgiveness. And I think that was a big part of breaking him and making him realize. Obviously, it was too late. Like, he did the damage. He let the monster out. But I think it it was a set of circumstances where his son was being forgiving, where he realized his mistake, really helped that moment. And, felt good. You pointed it out very early on the podcast. So those are probably the reasons that culminate in why.
Yeah. I also kind of ended up liking, I don't know. I ended up liking the Katie character, Aquafina's character, more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, she was. They let her be a lot more. She's still goofy because that's who she is as an actor and person, but she was.
But they let her be a lot more real. Like
yeah,
having her listen to that story and like the choice to let her like kind of sit in that and to not be able to say anything, because it's like I don't know if my friend was like that sequence of events where it's like my friend is like, yeah, I was an assassin, but I was trained as an assassin, but I left before I killed somebody. And then it's like, actually, we're here in this village, and I did kill somebody, and I followed through with it, and then I left. It's like, what do I say to that? I don't know how to help you in this moment, except for to be,
Yeah, I mean, she felt real. They let her not be a goofball, and
but be a real goofball.
Yeah, be like a genuine, real goofball. Be the good friend. It was nice. It was. I like Aquafina. What I've seen her in. I think she has good energy. She's good. I liked her in the Jumanji movie. It was the first time I saw her, which was a really weird role for her, and where she was the caricature of her goofiness. Was the butt of the joke. And despite that, she was still really commanding and good at the role. So it's cool to see. It's the only other thing I've seen her in, but it was cool to see.
Yeah. Huh. I think they did a really good job of making him appropriately powerful.
Yeah. Be curious to see where he falls in the
in the pecking order.
Yeah. But I think he'll be pretty powerful. I mean, I think when he has the rings, he's essentially an immortal god, right? So
yeah, but he also has those airbending things that he can do.
Yeah,
which is probably some sort of copyright thing that we can't say. Well, Disney would not be like, "Hey guys, please don't refer to it as airbending. It's not airbending."
It wouldn't be the first time they ripped off Avatar with Raya in The Last Dragon, so which is fine. I mean, you got to watch Avatar. Good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
John's all about some. Hey, rip it off good.
Yeah, rip it off.
You're gonna rip it off good.
Rip it off good, Daddy. Yeah. I think. What was I gonna say? I like that. Like she's a good driver. That gave her purpose as the non superhero character. A couple other times, the bus chase scene and the maze scene. And then she was there as a friend, like she listened and all that. So that was good. Her like having a purpose in the battle as an archer was like, that was definitely like a movie thing giving her purpose. It's whatever. Didn't bother me, but it's whatever. It's a superhero movie.
I hear ya.
And then, I think for me, raising my hand for some reason, the biggest weakness of the movie,
for me,
or at least the weakest character, was the sister. Like, she was a pretty cool character. Obviously, the actor is very talented in martial arts and that kind of performance stuff. But the character felt really underserved, which is funny because that was like the characterization of her, is that she was like in the shadows and ignored. But like there's stretches of this movie where she doesn't contribute dialogue, or that she doesn't grow as a character. And it's interesting that by the end of the movie, or in one of the end credit scenes, I think, she's the leader of the Ten Rings, and the Ten Rings will return. And it's like the whole boss bitch thing, which I think is a little bit overplayed by now. But in terms of, I don't know. I think there's a weird characterization of where a woman is badass when they're they're a boss bitch or they're a jerk, or they're evil or bad or they're rude. I think that's like why is that a characterization and why is that almost singular?
But we also we haven't seen how she's gonna yes, but also we haven't seen how that's going to manifest itself.
That's true.
How the 10 rings will. Well, I think because I don't know. I don't disagree with you, but I think that maybe it's because I don't know. It did kind of feel like we needed to resolve something. Like it feels like we almost resolved stuff with the sister, but we didn't quite get there. And maybe that's because they're setting up for a sequel-y type thing, or maybe it's because
I think it's the contrast of like he didn't give up on her, so they're on a very good note. And then she's the leader of this terrorist organization. Could be taking a good direction.
We don't know that it's a terrorist organization
anymore.
We just know she's taken over their infrastructure.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's just like, where's this going to go? And you don't know what to think, because despite seeing that he held on to her, he chose her over the fate of the universe. That's got to stick with her. I think that's going to be important to her. But you don't know how it makes her feel. There's no come around on that. So
I mean, I definitely think that she's gonna want what's hers. Like, I think that as someone who's been pushed to the side and put in the shadows, for her whole life, I think that she's gonna try and get what's hers. So I think that it'll probably be some middle ground. It'll probably be some moral middle ground where it's like, come on.
I can just see Marvel taking this new phase or generation or long arc, I don't even know what they're calling them, in the direction where heroes and protagonists are becoming antagonists in other things, not because they're evil, but because their motives go against something, And I feel like that's going to be something that comes up a lot. We have
Wanda.
We already have it with Wanda, and maybe we're going to have that with Zayling, Zayling and the 10 were the 10 rings, or maybe they're not evil, but they're going to go against what Falcon's trying to do, or something.
They'll probably butt up with oh my gosh. What's Sharon Carter, where she's like the collector, not the collector, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
I forgot the name. But yeah, which is fine. And I think there's a lot of interest there.
Yeah, I think there'll be bleed over with that, like not the low level, but the ground level villains.
Yeah.
This was interesting because I feel like I think that it was good because they sort of connected it up to the Marvel thing, to like the whole but it was also sort of existed on its own really well. Whereas I feel like that was one of the things that Black Widow did poorly, was exist on its own, which, it is kind of it's tough because it's like, Captain America, Winter Soldier, does it exist on its own very well? No, but it fits in really well. It fits in really good with the Marvel stuff. Thor Ragnarok, it sits on its own really well.
Yeah, I mean,
it just happens to bleed into some of the other things.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up too, is that it doesn't, like, you have Wong there, but he could just be any guy with abilities.
I love that he's just there and he's like throwing matches, or like him and Abomination. Is that Abomination? I'm pretty sure it was Abomination that they said that they confirmed that it was, but yeah. Tim Roth wasn't in it or something like that. Anyway, but I love that they're like sparring partners or whatever whatever that relationship is, and that appropriately, Wong doesn't give a shit about Shang-Chi when he's there. Like, they're just passed by each other, and it's just like, whoa, that's Wong, the magic dude. And Wong is like, there's no interaction. You know, I love it.
Yeah. And I think I like the characterization they've been building on him. And obviously in Doctor Strange, a little bit of Endgame or Infinity War, and then this, and then probably in the new Spider-Man. He's a very interesting, goofy character, but also he can turn it on, and you believe his wisdom and power too. So it's really
got serious.
Yeah, it's a really fun character. It's one I want to see more of. But I like the little taste they gave me.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of other crossover stuff. There's a little bit of reference to the Blip stuff, and I like / it's like they acknowledge the Blip in such passing, but they're not letting the PTSD or the emotional confusion or whatever the fallout is of half of people disappearing. Because what if Katie was gone for 5 years, or Shang-Chi, if he was gone for 5 years, that meant 5 of his 10 years of freedom, we're just assuming that everyone was fine, but it happened. But everyone that's relevant here was here, whatever. So there's a sense of it never happened, even though they acknowledged it. It's whatever.
Well, they acknowledge it, but it's also like, what if the does the dad have a name? I'm sure he has a name. I remember he said his actual name, but I don't remember it, and I'm not going to try and make one up. But the dad, the Mandarin character, what if he got snapped? Maybe or is he immune because of his rings,
Maybe. Let's see.
I don't know.
I'm looking up the character name. Zhu Wen-Wu. Probably saying that wrong, but
there's a pretty good chance. I also, again, I really love that scene at the dinner table where you expect him to be like, here's my big grand thing. Here's my big grand plan for you to take over. And he's like, actually, our connections are really important. Our connections are really good. And I want you to help me save your mother. She's been talking to me. I've been doing this research, blah, blah, blah. And then even in that, when he was like, they named him the Mandarin. They named him after a chicken dish.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great.
That's
fucking great.
Yeah, it's good writing too, to acknowledge the bad name, for an Asian character that was created whenever it was created, 90s, early, I don't know,
60s maybe.
Yeah, so that was nice, and that was nice to say that he is the real villain, but we're not. He's not. He said it. Maybe some people called me that, but despite him being the Mandarin, the real Mandarin, he also that's not him. That's not what we're calling him, and I think that was handled really well, and almost
1964,
and almost a good retconning of that too, in a sense.
Yeah. It's like retconning it from the guise of now, where it's like, yeah, this was a character that was created in 1964 when we didn't understand, and actually we've got a way to make this a little bit cooler and maybe have a little bit more fun with it. So that's what we're going to do. So I think that's good. I like it.
Yeah. The movie did a lot of things well. I think Marvel has definitely found a stride. I don't think... there's been weak ones. Ant-Man 2 and Captain Marvel stick out. But since Ragnarok, and there was great ones before Ragnarok, but since Ragnarok, the batting percentage has been very high. I'd say, 750-ish, 3 out of 4, maybe a little higher. And so, as they're building and able to flesh out the MCU more with the TV shows too, and that they're really getting into the big arc early with this metaverse and multiverse shit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And
I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really exciting stuff, and then the addition, like the addition of. I mean, I love a good artifact hunt. You know, they set up with their big sort of post-credit scene where they're like, "Hey, Shang-Chi, come with us. You know, we're gonna examine these rings and try and figure out what's the deal with these." And I thought that was a really good, really like in character way of bringing him in rather than having him show up.
yeah.
And like, or like, you know, I don't know. I just thought it was a really good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, so it's funny too because you're like, oh, Captain Marvel and Iron Man 3, but those are in the top 10 as far as like Captain Marvel's number 6 as far as box office, and Iron Man 3 is 7.
I liked Iron Man 3. I said Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man 2
Is
18, so
for my
Yeah.
my recent week links. And it's funny.
Yeah.
I think I could rewatch Iron Man 2 and 3 and the first Thor, maybe the second Thor, mainly because I just like watching Tom Hiddleston in those movies. I could watch those more than I could watch Ant-Man 2 and Captain Marvel, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I want Captain Marvel to be better than it is, but I don't like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I'm considering skipping it on my rewatch through. I'll watch it. I'll be a purist. I won't watch. I skipped Black Widow because I just watched Black Widow.
Yeah, I feel like that's reasonable. You're
Which
allowed.
I didn't even really skip it. I just watched it out of sequence, so that's fine. But the movie came
Yeah.
out of sequence. A lot of them
go.
did anyways. But yeah,
there you go. You fixed it.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they can do. I don't know. Maybe I should rewatch it and be like, why? What is this? What do I feel about this movie, Captain Marvel? Why do I? Because I really like Brie Larson, and I want it to be really good because people were such fucking assholes about her being strong or whatever. It's like, why? Why not? But the stakes, there was never anything in doubt in that movie.
Yeah.
At least as far as I.
Yeah. No, I think
as far as
there's
I feel.
the stakes weren't there, and they put the stakes on not the Kree or whatever that shape-shifting race is. You know, they put the stakes on them.
Skrull.
Yeah, so that's where the stakes were, which is fine. But it was just like, and this like intergalactic genocide. It was like what the stakes were or whatever. Which is, I'm not trying to downplay the scope of that.
I think that there's
but
a good movie in there. I think that there's like, because it's like the betrayal of the people that trained you and that brought you up. You know, I don't know. I just think that maybe she's just too powerful.
yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, she is like she's written in to be like only there when it's really bad. So I don't. Who knows? Yeah.
Another question that I thought of when I was watching this movie is I was like, damn, how many secret universes are there? How many like little secret pocket dimensions and like, you know, how many Wakandas are there? Because I was like, man, we're going.
Well, yeah, it definitely feels like. So is there like a cultural haven for all these? Like you literally have like Valhalla with, or some form of Viking whatever with Asgard. And then you have Wakanda, and then you have, I don't know the name of it, but the Chinese folklore haven in this one.
Talo.
Yeah, and you have Talo in this. It's just like, oh yeah, old ancient cultures. Let's make them have their own cities.
Well, and then you have the TVA too, which is the secret, just like a secret society within it.
I mean, you had S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point, which obviously isn't, but still, like, there. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just funny. It's like how many, or well, and you could go even further with the Black Widow project thing too, where it's like that was its own secret.
Yeah, the
thing.
Sky Lady assassin
Skynet
guild.
Skynet or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't Skynet, but you know what I mean.
I mean, the 10 Rings.
It's like how many
organization.
10 rings? Yeah.
I think
How many rings within a rings?
Yeah, they're gonna have like. I don't think it's overwhelming right now.
But it does make sense. The world is a big place, you know.
Yeah, but I think the more they do this shit, the more they make it the everyday person and the belief that culture is parallel still, like in terms of just us normal people, that like people are still living and dreaming and living day to day the same as we do now. It gets harder and harder to believe the more you see the way this crazy world is and the things that these people have very much
and then the Eternals coming up.
Yeah.
And then the Eternals coming up, who have been there for the beginning of time, but don't
do anything.
You know, do anything. And then the Magic Society, Kamirtaj.
Yep. X-Men.
That are another secret thing.
X-Men coming up whenever they integrate them.
However they're gonna do that. They got so many layers and worlds.
Yeah. Which is fine, but I think it comes at the detriment of what I just said. Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I think Iron Man was one of the better heroes at tying in the real world and real people. But he's dead.
Well, because he's just a smart dude with a lot of money. Which, again, it's like, yeah, he's incredibly smart and he's got a lot of money. But when it comes down to it, he's just a man.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, and I guess you could... I think Spider-Man could definitely take that role because he is just a kid. You know,
if Sony lets him.
Yeah, they should. Please.
Just fucking give it to him, guys, or figure out some sort of joint custody thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired of figure it out. Even though I still think that it's partly marketing. I think some of it is marketing to continue to drive interest, so that it's like anytime we see one of these Spider-Man movies, it could be the last Spider-Man movie we see within the MCU, and so it's like, oh God, we better get it. And it's like it gets to be an event piece, you know.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth.
Well, what'd you give this sweet puppy?
I'm gonna give this sweet puppy a 3.74. Bloody knuckles.
All right, I gave it 3.5.
Just on the outside of my hand.
I gave it 3.5 after watching it, but after talking about it, watching the clips in the background, I bumped that up to 4 rings out of 5. So that's where I stand. For all reasons stated, it's a good movie. It's a movie you could watch again and again. I don't know, it's a good movie, and it's a
visual treat. It's not too like. The music is great. The fighting is great. It's very fluid. I mean, yeah, this movie is just really fun. I'm really excited to see where it goes from there. You know,
I think it's a good it's a good movie. It's a great Marvel movie. Since if separating them as a film and as a part of a major as part of a bigger piece. So
and it sits pretty good. It sits pretty good by itself.
Yeah.
You know,
it does.
It still obviously has the connections to it, but I think that it really sits very well by itself.
Here.
So
what have you been watching?
Well, I have been watching. I watched Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie, Hard 8, with John C. Reilly. And the guy who's in everything, he's in Magnolia, again, another Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Gwyneth Paltrow's in it, and it's kind of like a fun gambling thing.
Okay.
It's like gambling, but I don't know. It was his first movie, and it's like you can tell that it's his first movie because it's like there's stuff, but there's a really cool idea in there. Samuel L. Jackson's also in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it, but only for one scene as essentially a glorified cameo. I also watched a movie called Jade. That's kind of I think it was in 1995. I got to see if Basic Instinct came out before it. Yeah. It's kind of like a a knockoff Basic Instinct. Which is funny.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it wasn't very good, but there's an interesting movie in there where there's like all these sort of like twists and turns, and then like a grand conspiracy, and then like there's like this sort of psychosexual deviant nature, and it's like, wow, she's a deviant, whoa, hysterical blindness, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, and then they like handled it with all the panache of a mid-90s movie, so
nice.
But yeah, those are some of the joints I've been playing with.
So the Spike Lee joints. I watched Winter Soldier in my journey to rewatch the MCU. Good movie. it's the Winter Soldier.
I love that movie.
It's widely appreciated. I watched She's All That. I was the other night was hanging out, and I was like, guys, I feel like watching a teen movie, you know? Like I just like, because we played some song, like the do 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 do, like we played it like just on the Alexa, and then I was just like, fuck, let's watch one, and so watched that movie. I never seen it before. Had the late great Paul Walker in it, Freddie Prinze Jr.
She's All That. I keep getting confused with She's the Man.
Yeah,
and She's All That.
That's what I thought first when I suggested. I never seen She's All That, so fun watch. It's the classic. She takes the glasses off and it's like, oh my god, she's hot. Like you're supposed to believe that she's not an attractive person when everyone's like, oh, she's so ugly and weird. It's just like, no, she's not. Yep.
Are you guys paying attention?
And by today's standard of beauty, she's actually way more attractive in her nerdy looking artsy look than the hot girls. So that's also just interesting to see how that changes. But watch that, and then I've been watching What If, and What If's pretty dang cool. I'm sure we'll make a thing about it eventually.
Yeah, sure. I watched one episode. I watched the Mrs. America one, or not?
Captain Carter.
Captain Carter.
Yeah, I'll say, without spoiling it, but if you're wishy-washy, I'll say they get a lot more Black Mirror, where you don't feel good. So
okay,
one's pretty positive, but keep watching for sure.
Okay, good. Yeah, because God knows I don't need to feel good about watching anything.
I don't know. I felt like that put you off, that it was just like hunky-dory.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, well, I guess my thing is that I don't see...
The more you watch it, the more is like, okay, there might be...
Are they building towards something? Or, I mean, I guess I just don't see what the point is.
It's pretty anthology, but there has been... You know the Watcher character? This isn't a spoiler at all, but you see him more. So they're ramping up to something.
Okay.
Like he is more present. He has more voiceovers. You physically see him. There's even some he's scaling up, so there's something going on.
They're moving towards something. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I guess that's more than it being hunky dory. Because I'll tell you what, it was really satisfying. It was really nice to. I liked it, and I kind of like the animation style. I kind of like and dislike the animation style that they have.
I really like it.
But it definitely grew on me, the animation style. But I was also like, okay, well, what's the point? You know, and maybe I'll check it out, because I guess that's for me. It's like, well, we've got our big universe, and then here's this like kind of like throwaway anthology. Nice. So we want you to watch more stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they're not going to waste.
They're not going to waste my eyes.
No, like I think Star Wars with their anime anthology is more of that. I'm not saying it's a waste, but I'm saying like it's more.
I don't know. I'm kind of more. But see, the thing is with the Star Wars anime anthology thing, I'm more excited to see more stories of that universe than I am to see more universe. Yeah, I'm gonna go inside of it. But I'm more excited to see stories from that universe than I am the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not unexcited. I'm not unexcited. I'm not excited, but the what if thing, because I'm just riding more of a Marvel high, and
you're riding it.
I like alternate history, alternate universe stuff. So
yeah,
like it
have you
even
seen
though
the
it's
Man in the High Castle?
yeah, I've seen all of it, but the last season. So just got.
I haven't seen any of it, but I know that that's an alternate history thingy.
Yeah, I think it feels. I mean, Marvel's doing it, but I feel like it might be coming up and up. Who knows? It's just a feeling I get. I have an inside source.
It's a feeling you get?
Well, on the Watcher. But yeah, that was a
Cool.
Shang-Chi. Very good movie. Definitely recommend.
A lot of fun.
So, our little segment. We don't have the parameters set, but watch it in the theater. Stream it or skip it. I'd say watch it in the theater.
I would watch it in the theater just
same.
because it's so visually pleasing.
Yeah, if not for the final act with the fights. So
yeah,
and I don't think we spoiled anything on this one. So
I really don't think we did. I mean, the fights are really good. It's really visual pleasing. The dynamics are different than you might expect them to be. But yeah, I don't know. I think that you'll be surprised, or maybe you won't be. But I think that you go see it, you'll have a good time.
Yeah. What if
that's.
Your quote gets on the next the movie trailer? Hey, yeah, go see it. You'll have a good time. Patrick Pascal, Stinky Popcorn Boys.
I'll be like, one day.
That's a pretty cool goal. Why not?
That would be I want someone to value my opinion enough that they use it to promote their thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, as they say in Ta Lo, what do they say in Ta Lo?
Well, yeah, or Hong Kong or San Francisco. We're gonna fight you, and I'm gonna do it fast.